Julius Jones, family plead for Governor Stitt to accept historic clemency recommendation. So on Monday, the Pardon and Parole Board found or came to the conclusion of clemency for Julius Jones. For those that have lived under a rock, Julius Jones is on death row. There are significant concerns about the guilt in his case. Other people involved in the situation have claimed they were the murderer, and Julius Jones claims he was not even there. The evidence, most of this case is honestly built on a bad thing happened. We're really mad about it, and so somebody has to be held accountable.
Same thing with Rebecca Holt. You can
Right.
apply the same analysis to Rebecca Holt.
Yep. So these sorts of, I mean, this sort of like miscarriage of justice is quite common, and applies as much or more in the Julius Jones case. Of course, he's on death row, so it is literally a life or death situation. So I should have pulled some clips, but actually I don't even know if they recorded it. I mean, I watched it live, but just to do a little analysis and go back to like the thinking of district attorneys, I watched the whole presentation. It was a 3-1 vote. The only vote against it was Richard Smotherman, who is a former district attorney out in Seminole, I believe. I think he was on, I mean, he was definitely on, but he might have even run the district attorney's council. I was trying to verify that the other day, but couldn't remember it. Anyway, he, from the Pardon and Parole Board, basically relitigated the state's case throughout the hearing. Like, just in one episode, what he basically did was, so Julius Jones finally got to speak, had a prepared statement. He had 20 minutes to make his case to the Pardon and Parole Board, to try and explain things. And like Smotherman did this thing where he set Jones up about a hearing or some sort of court proceeding that happened, 20 years ago when Jones was 21 years old, accused of this heinous crime and trying to deal with all that. Jones's attorneys said, not to take the stand. Like, I don't know. There's different theories of thought with this, and Ron, I'm
I
sure
know
you have.
this, dog. Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
I'm a lawyer. It is very, very, very rare I have a client take the stand. Even those clients who are 100% innocent, I know they're 100% innocent. They know they're 100% innocent. It's very, very rare you have to take a stand because bad things can just come out. And it's like the one rule in hearings and in law and really in life: if you don't know the fucking answer, don't ask. Right. So the way to keep any answer that you don't know that they may ask from happening, you stay over here and you don't get on the stand.
Right. And so, they're trying to make the case, the prosecution, the state, is that if Jones was innocent, he should have taken the stand and professed his innocence and all this other stuff.
By the way, I'm sorry for keep interrupting Nick. But by the
You're
way,
good.
just so you know, you have this thing called the Constitutional Amendment Against Self-Incrimination. So you don't have to fucking even first off, you don't have to take the stand innocent or guilty, and it cannot be assumed if you did not take the stand that you did it because you were guilty. That is like black letter first level law. Like at his trial, I hope you never fucking know in this county, but at his trial, I hope the judge instructed the jury. Just because he did not speak, you cannot presume that he is guilty. That is like a foundation. That's foundational in our law. That doesn't go away because he was found guilty. And I think like that's below. And I'm one of the few people, and I know I'm sorry, y'all. I'm one of the few people who still holds law in high regard. I still think it's a noble occupation, right? With DA, obviously disagree with what they do every day. Defense attorneys, some of them are trash and hell almost as bad as walking people to the DAs. Whatever type of law you practice, I hold this in high regard. So I think it's beneath it's not unethical, but it's beneath our practice. It's beneath our noble occupation. It's beneath what we do every day, which is to uphold the laws of the land, to ask someone, say, why didn't you take the stand when you know that we cannot presume guilt because someone did not take the stand. And as someone who practices a DA in criminal courts, he knows that well. And I now he could get up and say, I think Julius Jones did it. I think they tried a good case. All of that stuff. But that and I didn't watch it, so this is really like this angers me Because again,
Yeah,
it's
no,
important.
I mean, and just to finish the story real quick, I mean that's all he did was he picked it apart like a trial attorney. Like he just sat there and said, "Well, you claimed you didn't, take the stand because your attorney told you this, and you didn't want to appear." Jones said, "I didn't want to appear upset in front of the jury." I don't know if he meant the court or if he literally meant the jury or, who knows. And he's remembering something from 20 years ago. And Smotherman does this whole long arc of questions just to get him to say, well, you're lying because there wasn't a jury at that type of hearing. I mean, it's like some like bullshit technicality that like nobody knows if that's true or not. Nobody remembers it. God knows if
Well,
Jones even knows the distinction of it. But Smotherman does because he's a fucking district attorney. And that was his whole like case. It's like, well, you're a liar because you said you didn't want to, say something in front of a jury, and you said that,
well,
and there was no jury there.
as a trial lawyer and someone who fancies himself as a trial lawyer, and people who know me know, like, yeah, like Jones is going to be like, I wanted to be a trial lawyer since I was 5 years old and saw Johnny Cochran, and I dead ass believe I'm on the arc of doing that. I live, for whatever reason, I have incredibly good faith and some incredibly like loving and a great community down in Hugo and Fayetteville and in Chicago and all around that's really believed in me and helped me achieve my dreams, really exceed my dreams. I'm so very thankful for that. That being said, a good trial lawyer tells a story, and his was, just I ain't listened to it, but based off what you said, it was just trying to get him to say, "Oh, you just like slip him up on some bullshit."
Yeah.
But again, if he was like playing fair pool and wasn't trying to slipping up on some BS about not taking a stand and confessing innocence, whatever the case may be, you just ask Jones a series of questions, really about not rehashing the trial and not trying to prove him a liar. You would really just ask a bunch of questions, trying to paint the victims in a way in which, I'm not going to do it for him. But long story short, I would ask series of questions of like, how much has Jones reached out to the victim? How much has Jones thought about the victims? I would, if I wanted, I would never do what he did. Even if you couldn't pay me enough money to do that. But if you want to tell a story, and the story is that the Howells, and you would just like, and it would be a continuum, right? Because you go right into the Howells or whatever, how it was set up. But it would be the story of how the Howells or victims who need justice, and Jones has not thought enough about these victims. He's not reached out to these victims. He's not contacted these victims. He doesn't care about these victims. He does not care about these people, and he murdered them in cold blood. Right? Like that would be the story you would sell. As you can see, I'm a trial lawyer. That's the story you would sell. I'm happy to do a really good job with some like lying technicality that only he and the other lawyers in the room understood. It's like everybody was like, "Yeah, fam, what the fuck are you talking about?" First rule of trial law. Well, 2 rules. Number 1, don't ask questions you don't answer to. Number 2, know your audience. If I'm talking to a bunch of jurors, it's like, actually, the preliminary hearing, blah, 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 blah. It's like, man, we don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Right. That being said, same thing about Rebecca Holt, right? They're first off, I say this all the time, and I have to say it again. The state should not kill people, full stop. I don't think the state should kill guilty people. That we know are guilty, that have said they are guilty, and that we can confirm their guilt, that we have a literal smoking gun. The state should not kill those people. Because number 1, I mean, there are a variety of reasons. I have this ongoing bet with people around 3 things. If you can tell me why sex should be criminalized, sex work should be criminalized, why drugs should be criminalized, and why the death penalty should be legal, if you give me a rational reason as to why that should occur, I will buy you a drink. I haven't lost that bet yet. Right? Because the victims, well, first and foremost, the victims do not get their loved one back. So it doesn't bring them quote unquote justice. Right. Secondly, if you're just being a soulless pragmatist in this regard, it's the state of Oklahoma. It's not victim versus this person, right? So it's not even, you're not even supposed to quote unquote consider the victim. We passed Marcy's law and shit. That's like technically by how our law is set up, it's not set up to consider victims' perspective in that way. It's set up for you to act on behalf of the citizens of the state. It's more costly, but more than all of those things, it's just inhumane, cruel, and beneath a civil society. But what drives our criminal legal system is retribution at all costs, right? Even if we saw Rebecca Holt, we're seeing with Julius Jones, there's great questions to it. Even if you didn't do it, somebody gotta fucking pay. And what a wretched system right? For that to be, if there is a motto to the Oklahoma's criminal legal system, is a motherfucker gotta pay, right? And in the literal sense, a motherfucker gotta pay in that being with their lives, their humanity, and their money, right? In the most literal sense, fines and fees to fund this system, because we are so hell bent on making people pay that we won't fund it, but we'll make you pay for it. We'll make you pay for us making you pay, right? That is where we are. But getting back to the case of Julius Jones and clemency being granted, I'm thankful and happy that occurred. Again, I don't believe you should kill people that we know are guilty. I surely don't believe you should kill someone when there are great reasonable questions to their guilt and many pointing to their innocence. And that's what you have with Julius Jones, right? When you think like people are rational beings, like I assume not everybody and very few people have like dug into the transcript and know it fact by fact, et cetera, et cetera. But some people have, and some people are people who are very knowledgeable on this have said that there are great issues to his guilt, many proclaiming his innocence, right? That enough, well, just the fact that he's a human being should be enough to not kill him. The fact that there are great questions to whether or not he committed these heinous acts, that alone, I don't need a clemency hearing or anything else. That alone should be enough. Okay, we're not gonna kill this dude, because there is no undoing that, right? Like, and that's the point of like all why it's so costly and all the appeals and all of that stuff. Like, you can't unkill somebody. If you can unkill somebody, you'd unkill the person who was killed in this, the victim in this, right, Mr. Howe. So, yeah. I hope that his sentence is commuted. I hope that we get from this mantra, and we have a lot of work to do, because in 2016, there was that death penalty amendment that passed with flying colors, which was like, come on, guys, what are we doing? But I think I have to have hope and faith and compassion that if it's a serious alternative that actually does provide help, assistance, understanding to the victim, but also provides help, assistance, and understanding to the perpetrators, the alleged perpetrators, whomever. Like, knowing that is a system that can exist if we build it, if we take the hard steps of trying to build it, and it all starts understanding that hopefully we will live in a day in which the state of Oklahoma has no intention on killing anybody. Because you know what? We pro-life.
Thanks for watching our video. Please give it a like and hit that subscribe button for more content. If you want to engage with us, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram.